Hi there. This video will be about how to change a circuit breaker in a Square D QO load center. Inside the door, you have a series of circuit breakers, usually two rows, left bus bar and the right bus bar. And sometimes up here you'll have a main breaker. The main breaker will shut off the power to all of these circuit breakers, both rows of bus bars. This particular load center is not a QO load center. I will go to one in a few minutes, but first of all, I just want to show you how to take off a large cover on any load center panel box. Usually there'll be 4 to 6 or maybe even 8 screws around the edges, where the larger the box, the more screws. But the thing to be careful of here is to make sure that you take off all but 2 screws. And then when you have 2 screws left, you want to put your arm on the box, or have someone hold it on the cover, or have someone hold it for you so that it doesn't fall down, especially when the last screw comes out. Making sure not to let it move until the screw is out. Once the screws are out, put the screwdriver down and hold the cover and pull it straight out from the box. Don't let it slide down on the box. Don't bend it in and let it contact any of the other wires that are in there. Then you can put the cover down safely somewhere and then go to work. So before we go any further, considerations around safety. What we're looking at right now is an actual Square D QO load center. This is a sub panel, so it also does not have a main breaker in it, and the cover is not on. There's a swing away cover that goes on here as well, but inside they all pretty much look the same. As far as safety, rubber soled shoes are a good idea, and also standing on a dry piece of plywood or something like that, just to make sure your body is isolated from any path to ground that electricity might try to find through your body. So a Square D QO circuit breaker looks like this. At the bottom there are 2 pairs of there's 2 clips. One side just designed to clip onto the rail, and the other side, the side that has the screw, the wire attaches to where the screw is, clips onto the rail, and the side that is opposite from the wire and the screw clips onto the bus bar where the electricity is. A very distinctive feature with a Square D QO breaker is that it has a little window on it. So you can see by looking through the window if there's a red flag showing that the breaker is in the tripped position and there's something to be investigated. So taking this cover off, this is a little smaller. And this cover also has, it has sides to it, so it stays on the box when the screws are taken out. So you don't have to worry about it falling down. But you don't want it to slide down the base of the box either. So most people working in the trade will not worry about shutting a main breaker off while replacing a breaker in the load center. But you can do that if you want. if you've never worked with these things, then it's probably a good idea. But before you shut the main breaker off, shut all the individual breakers off and then shut the main off, so you take the load off the main and there's not an internal arc that will have a tendency to wear out the breaker if you turn it on and off too many times. But basically, changing a breaker, let's just choose one somewhere in the middle here. I'll shut that off, which means now there's no power to the screw here, so I can unscrew the clamp and then pull the wire out. This is the wire that goes up to whatever it's powering, be it a light or a refrigerator or outlets or whatever. And then just kind of, there's a little slot here so you can pry up on this a little bit to loosen that. And then you have to pull this up. I always find these interesting to try to get out. They hold in there pretty well. So there it is. If you look inside there, you can see the tab that the breaker snaps into. And the rail that it clamps onto to hold it in place. So to put it back, it's just the opposite. In this case, you can snap it in and put the wire back in place. When you're attaching the wire, you want to attach the wire on the side of the screw so it's going to try to go as you turn the screw. In this case, it has a clamp, so I don't have to worry about the screw. But if this is just a screw, and the screw turns clockwise to tighten, you want it on the left-hand screws, you want the wire at the top of the screw, and on the right-hand breakers, you want the wire at the bottom of the screw. So it has a tendency to tighten as you tighten the screw. Tighten the screw. Turn the breaker on. Oh, it doesn't work. Look at that. There we go. And you're back in business. Okay, just as an addendum, so you're not tumbling all over your basement like I was. There's an actual little bit easier way to get that breaker off the panel. If you look at this separate breaker, you'll notice that right here there's a little kind of space. What you can actually do once you've shut it off and removed the wire, you can do the same. Lift that side up as long as you hang on to the screwdriver. Hard to do this from the other side of the tripod. And then you can put the screwdriver against the side of the box, because there's no power here now. This is off. The power is disconnected from the bus bar there, and I mean, it's touching again, but now you just want to pry that out like that, and that lifts the clamp off the rail. And putting it back, they just snap back in both sides, and you're back in business. That's all. Okay, one last thing. Just as a tip for getting the cover back on the box is to open the door first, and you can see where it has to line up, and that'll pretty much get you right where the screw holes are. You don't contact any wires, and you don't shut off any breakers that you don't want shut off. And that's it.